Is anyone else spending this week snowed into their house and feel like they're slowly losing their minds? No, just me. Okay. Margaret Jane Collins was born on August 11th, 1863 in Ozark County, Missouri. She was the sixth of 10 children born to Ephraim and Minerva Turnbull Collins. When Margaret was born, both of her parents were 30. Margaret grew up with her siblings in Ozark County on her family's farm. Her father was a Civil War veteran and had fought for the Union in the Missouri Infantry. A connection to another video I found, Polly Ann Capps and Margaret were sister-in-laws. Polly was married to Tall Collins, and Tall Collins was Margaret's brother. On October 1st, 1881, when Margaret was 18, she married 22-year-old George Brown. George passed away only 1 year later in 1882. There's no information on what happened to him or his burial details. Since Margaret buried her other spouses in Parsons Cemetery, I'm guessing he is there and his stone has been lost to time. 2 years later, on February 16, 1884, 20-year-old Margaret married 28-year-old James Bird. James had lost his wife Emmeline the same year Margaret had lost her husband George. He had 3 small children from his first marriage, Benjamin, James Alec, and Rhoda. Margaret and James were married for 13 years until 1897 when James passed away at the age of 41. James passed away around the same time his 16-year-old son, James Alec, died. A source was attached that his son had passed away due to rheumatic fever, so that's probably what caused his death as well. Rheumatic fever is an inflammatory disease that can develop after a bacterial infection with strep A, and it normally causes heart damage. Margaret had James and his son buried together in Parsons Cemetery in Ozark County, Missouri. They share a grave with James's first wife, Emmeline. James's son had his nickname carved into the stone, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. 2 years after James's death, I found Margaret on the 1900 census. She was living with her stepdaughter, 17-year-old Rhoda, and she was farming for a living. On May 26, 1916, when Margaret was 52, she married her third husband, 63-year-old William Duggar. From my research, I don't think William had any children, and I couldn't find anything about previous marriages for him. William and Margaret were married for 14 years until he passed away at the age of 77 in 1930. His obituary stated he lived with his father until he was 40 and then worked at public work, which is road construction, until 1916 when he married Margaret. Margaret buried William in Parsons Cemetery as well. After William passed away, Margaret didn't remarry. She passed away on December 8, 1943 at the age of 80. One obituary stated she died due to pneumonia, and another one stated senile diseases. Her obituary stated she had no children, and survivors were her 2 stepchildren, Benjamin and Rhoda Bird. It stated she was a pioneer of Ozark County, and she had lived on her farm there her entire life. She is buried in Parsons Cemetery next to her third husband, William. After reading her obituary and other sources about her, I do believe her name is misspelled on her stone. Her name was not spelled that way on anything else I found about her. The top of Margaret's stone has a flower carving at the top. Her epitaph says, "Gone but not forgotten." My family tree showed that I'm not related to Margaret, but my husband is. Margaret is my husband's second cousin, 5 times removed. Thank you so much for watching. Rest in peace, Margaret.